Hey guys, just a quick reminder. There'll be no Mount Ararat podcast during the N1 season. There are just too many shows for me to be able to have the time to put the podcasts together for each and every one of those shows. It's too much. But I'm going to cover the N1 right here on the Noah Network on YouTube. I will have a video reviewing every single one of the shows, and I'll get that up as quickly as I can after the show ends. And I will preview every show as soon as I can before those shows go live. They'll just be individual videos right here on the YouTube page, the Noah Network. I appreciate your support. Now let's get to today's review of the August 11th, Night 1 N1 Victory Show. Hey, welcome back. And we're talking about Night 1 here, August 11th. And it kicked off with a tag team match. Now, of course, this is a non-tournament matchup, of course. Just to open the show, this was actually a dark match, but it was broadcast, so that's kind of weird. I guess the dark match meaning is just something we're putting on early as people file into the building. And it was Mohammed, Yone, and Daiki Inaba teaming up to take on Yoshiki Inamura and Stallion Rogers. An interesting tag team matchup here. I thought Rogers and Inamura looked really good together, as did Yone and Inaba. I think these make good teams. Stallion Rogers and Mohammed Yone kicked it off with Yone doing his normal antics, backing Rogers into the ropes and doing his funky pose. Rogers did not take kindly to this. He went off on Yone with a series of chops, just knocking him around, throwing him into the ropes, and hitting a huge drop kick, sending Yone down. So much so that Yone tagged out to Inaba, and Rogers arrogantly and cockily did the disco pose, which I loved. I thought that was cool. Then went over and tagged in Daiki Inaba. So we had Daiki Inaba versus Yoshiki Inamura here. Now, Daiki Inaba went toe-to-toe with Inamura. That's one thing you've got to give Daiki Inaba credit for. He's afraid of no man. He will go toe-to-toe with anyone. A high flyer, big bull of the woods, strong guy, if you will, daddy. He just doesn't back down from anybody, ever. And he really went toe-to-toe with Inamura there. And though Inamura was winning the strength battle, as he's going to do against just about anybody, Daiki Inaba continues to impress with his ability to take damage and share his own style of damage on any opponent he faces. But here Inamura nails him with a big body splash and tags back in Stallion Rogers, who comes in and continues to keep Daiki Inaba down in the ring. Till Daiki Inaba in a headlock, gets Daiki Inaba in a headlock, Daiki Inaba backs him into his own corner, unfortunately, where Inamura is tagged back in. Now, there's one thing I've noticed in this match, is I thought Inamura and Stallion Rogers had much more frequent tags. I thought they worked together a little bit better as a team, just meaning their strategy, just based on what I saw, especially the frequent tags. So both guys are now in, and they deliver a huge running shoulder block to Daiki Inaba, and Inamura follows that up by getting him in a scissors, a crossbody mid-level scissors, leg scissors. I love this. Let me just take a moment to tell you what is awesome about this. What is awesome about this? I'm trying to keep my chair out of the shot, guys. Can only move so much. I only have so much room in this studio, if you will. What I loved about this is the power Inamura displayed here. Now, there's too many times in wrestling today, and I mean the world over, Japan, America, Canada, everywhere, Mexico, everywhere, where simple moves like a body leg scissors won't be sold all that well. It's basically, fans see it as a rest hold, a time for the wrestlers to sort of take a break, maybe communicate with each other in some kind of carny language, if you will. But here, Daiki Inaba sold this as if it was going to squeeze his guts out through his ears and eyes and mouth. I mean, he really did. He made you believe he was in intense pain, and I love that. Really made it look like it took a lot out of him. Inamura, he did get to the ropes. Inamura stands him up, backs him into the corner, and psychology, guys, continues to work on the midsection by driving shoulder blocks into Daiki Inaba's abdomen over and over and over. And I loved how Stu and Mark on commentary pointed out, hey, we hope that Daiki Inaba has worked hard on his abdominal exercises. Putting over the fact that you're going to have strong abs, very strong midsection to be able to handle something like this and continue to go on.
Inamura then just comes across with his big forearms and strikes and knocks Daiki Inaba senseless. But Daiki Inaba is beaten into the corner and charges out with his own shoulder block, taking Inamura down. And that's what I'm talking about Inaba. He is a tough son of a bitch who can take it to anybody. He tags in Mohammed Yone, who's in with a single leg drop kick against Inamura, knocking him down. But Inamura then nails the big brainbuster on Mohammed Yone, tagging in Stallion Rogers, who is up. Yone's in the corner at this point, and Rogers charges in with a forearm and that running drop kick. There are a number of guys who do this move, but Stallion Rogers is up there as one of the best, in my opinion, that I've seen. His long, lanky form makes this look even worse when he comes in with those, 6-foot-long legs, it looks like, compressing into the chest of his opponent. And then he does his well-known move where he stomps hard on the feet of opponent who's seating in the corner, and that causes them sort of to rear up, and he uses that motion, pulling their arms into a DDT. You have to see it to completely understand it. It just works really well. He's stamping on the toes. They sort of rear up in pain. Not completely stand up, but they're sort of going that direction. He grabs their arms and pulls them into a quick DDT. It's a great maneuver. It's not enough to pin Yone, so Stallion Rogers climbs to the top and comes down with a frog splash, and he misses. Here's another thing I like about Stallion Rogers. You got to be careful that he doesn't overdo it. But you can hear him shouting in panic or concern whenever something like this happens. He comes off the top rope, he's diving down, he sees his opponent roll out of the way as he's falling, and he's like, oh, shit! He'll do things like that. And I think it works. I think it would be a natural reaction if you're coming in with a big move like that and see your opponent moving. You just got to be careful he doesn't overdo it. I'm not saying that he does, but it could be something that is overdone. You don't want to do it all match long for every move. Daiki Inaba's then in with nailing some forearms and manages to get Rogers in the corner, clotheslining him hard. Rogers does come back, though, and does successfully land a leaping splash off the top rope on Daiki Inaba and follows it up with a slam. But Daiki Inaba is up, what looks to be a stinger death drop, if you will, but he puts his elbow on the sternum of Stallion Rogers here and drives it down backwards that way, in my opinion, making the move even that much harsher. This is near the end. I mean, Daiki Inaba really came on strong here, picked him up and delivered this. There's probably a name for this move that I don't remember, but it is a modified seated pile driver. I mean, just takes his momentum over his shoulder and all of his weight falls down forward in a tombstone pile driver type of positioning, driving Stallion Rogers' head hard into the mat. And that's it. That gets the win. That's a big win for Daiki Inaba and Mohammed Yone. I thought they looked really good as a team, even though I did mention earlier that the frequent tags made Inamura and Rogers look like they were doing a little better. I still stand by that. I mean, I think they tagged in and out more frequently than Yone and Inaba. But Inaba, I mean, I'm waiting for this guy to hit the gas pedal. He has some big wins in Noah, but I think he's capable of so much more. And hopefully this is a sign of him heading that direction, because this was a big win for them. And I thought Daiki Inaba took punishment like he always does, but this time came back and got a big victory over Stallion Rogers, who was in the N1 tournament, and Daiki Inaba was passed over, and I'm sure that motivated him. But that's how we kicked off the show. Honestly, I don't want to say I was worried, but I was a little concerned with these non-tournament matches. It's hard to get up for them when you're so ready to see these one-on-one N1 tournament matches. But I honestly considered fast-forwarding this and not covering it, but I'm glad I didn't. I mean, this is pro wrestling, Noah. Everything they do is great. All their matches are solid. I mean, once in a while you get Peros, in there with cheating so much that the match isn't too exciting. It's kind of meh. But, they can still be enjoyable to watch because there are so few good heel gimmicks in the world of professional wrestling. When you see somebody or a group that actually has it and does it well, it can be refreshing to watch for that reason. So I would recommend not skipping out anything on Noah. Of course, non-tournament matches aren't must-see. They aren't vital. But if you like good, solid professional wrestling, and this got me up for this show even more, definitely watch all the matches on these shows. Even though the shows are going to be long with like 10 matches. Always worth it, in my opinion. And great way to kick off the show. Big win with Daiki Inaba, Mohammed Yone standing victorious. Let's move on.
Here we go, guys. Match 1 of the N1 Victory Tournament. It's the second match of the show, but the first N1 tournament matchup, and what a way to kick this thing off. Katsu Hiku Nakajima versus Masa Kitamiya. These are former teammates. They were in a team called the Aggression. They're multi-time GHC heavyweight tag team champions. They worked great together. They were an amazing team. They were both part of Congo for some time, but Masa Kitamiya left Congo, struck out on his own, and he and Nakajima have had a feud ever since. They had the only cage match in the history of Pro Wrestling Noah so far. It was incredible. It is on Noah's YouTube page. It's from last year. Find it, watch it. It's incredible stuff. This started off immediately. This isn't a great screen grab. It's the best I could do after several tries, but as the bell rang, Masa Kitamiya runs out and just clotheslines Nakajima out of his boots. I mean, there were some questions about Nakajima being knocked out here. It was that bad. But Nakajima was not out. He comes to and delivers a big belly to back, sort of belly to side suplex, putting Masa Kitamiya down hard on his head. But he looked a little knocked out as well. These two just going at it, that he did rise to his feet. And what would be next? Well, what else would be next? These guys just battling each other with forearm shivers, forearm shots back and forth, as we see so often with these warriors in Japan. They just are brutalizing each other, not even really defending, because this is about pride. This is about who's the strongest, and it is back and forth for some time with both guys taking everything the other one got, including Masa Kitamiya taking the ridiculous kicks of Nakajima. Ridiculously good. Nakajima, one of, if not the best kickers in the world of wrestling today, and Masa Kitamiya just swallowing them, manning up, and telling him to try it again. It was something to behold for sure. There he is. Just look at the face on an exasperated Nakajima, looking like, are you kidding me? I mean, these kicks take other people down, and this guy's just standing there daring me to kick him again. Incredible stuff there. But as he does try to kick him again, Masa Kitamiya catches the leg and begins to work the leg over with elbows and underhooks and really trying to stretch that knee out, take the legs away from Nakajima. You've taken away much of his offense. And he follows that up with a dragon screw, and Nakajima is down. Masa Kitamiya picks him up and drops him with a knee driver. He has him over his shoulder. This is the end of the move where he just drops him down hard onto his knees. Masa Kitamiya picks Nakajima up and delivers a brain buster of his own, being that Nakajima is known for his vertical spike brain buster. This was something to see out of Masa Kitamiya. He did allow Nakajima to rise from that move, but then nailed him with a huge spear, taking him down and locking in that modified prison lock. This could easily have been the end, folks. When Masa Kitamiya gets that prison lock, now what I was shocked though, Masa Kitamiya did not headbutt him. A lot of the times when you see Masa Kitamiya get this modified prison lock on a guy, it's a leg hold. It's incredible. It's sort of like a reversed figure four, like it's hard to explain, but it's a really intense leg lock. And normally when he gets it in it and starts beating his chest the way he did here, he will smack his opponent, which he did here, but oftentimes he will grab their head and headbutt them, where he will actually bleed from it, and that's where it's near the end. I think he made a mistake not doing that here. He did not headbutt Nakajima. Nakajima did manage, while being in this hold for some time and making it look like it was scary. And if you notice here, when I said reverse figure four, the leg position is like the figure four, but you're pushing that bottom left leg up into the crossed over right leg instead of pushing the right leg down into the left. Nakajima got to the ropes. He did. I mean, it looked bad for him. It was worrisome. Masa Kitamiya has ended many matches with this move, but again, I think he made a mistake not delivering a headbutt there, sort of knocking Nakajima loopy so he couldn't get to the ropes, and he did get to the ropes. Masa Kitamiya did climb to the top turnbuckle to deliver that senton. He's one of the best at this move. Stu and Mark pointed out on commentary that when he did this in their cage match, he broke two boards of the ring, two ring boards. He climbed to the top of the cage and did this senton from up there and broke two ring boards as he came down on Nakajima that time. Nakajima did get out of the way of that, and Masa Kitamiya
threw him into the corner and came running in, I guess, to shoulder block him in some way. Nakajima stepped to the side and lifted his knee into the charging Masa Kitamiya, and it looked like he was out. It looked like, goodness, that was Masa Kitamiya's full speed and strength coming into the corner, and instead of meeting Nakajima's body, he met a hard knee lift to his head, and I thought they were going to have to stop the match here, but Nakajima actually sits Masa Kitamiya up and begins to deliver those back and forth left and right kicks to the front, to the back, to the front, to the back. And as he goes, they get faster and faster and faster. And you can see that happening here. But Masa Kitamiya does catch one of these knees eventually, stands straight up and delivers a hard right to the jaw of Nakajima. Now, I thought this was a mistake because, look, Nakajima has inadvertently learned that while he is an amazing kicker, he can throw a strike to knock guys the hell out. I'm talking the Hands of Stone Ron Garvin type of shit. I'm talking the Big Show type of shit here. He learned at the Fighter Festival when it was Noah facing DDT wrestlers, and he knocked Endo out, the champion at the time of DDT, with a hard open palm strike to the jaw temple area. He learned that he has that in his arsenal. I mean, he always used it, but he learned how to knock a man out there. He normally knocks men out with kicks. Now he's a striker that can knock guys out. And Masa Kitamiya, I think, gave it his best shot to be the knockout artist here, and he pretty much came damn close here. But he didn't. And in his frustration, Masa Kitamiya picks Nakajima up and delivers a horrible-looking pile driver. Done well, but it just looked like, look at that. It just looks like death for Nakajima. Could this be the end? No, Nakajima kicks out of this pile driver, which in and of itself is Daiki Inaba type of shit. Incredible. And Masa Kitamiya attempts a throw-over body press slam, but Nakajima sort of reverses it and ends up doing a body press to Masa Kitamiya. Now, a body press is not going to be enough to hold him down, of course, so they both stand up and begin striking again, but here's what I'm talking about. Nakajima lands that knockout blow, that open palm strike to the head, to the face, to the temple of Masa Kitamiya. That's the best I could get it there. There's the beginning. There's the end. And you can see there, look how wobbly on his feet right there he is. And he went down. Masa Kitamiya was down. Not out, though. I thought that would be a knockout blow. But, Masa Kitamiya is not an easy guy to knock out. But it knocked him loopy enough for Nakajima to get Masa Kitamiya in his vertical spike brainbuster. Now, in Japan, I've noted before, what to us Americans a lot of times are just a vertical suplex, if you will, are called brainbusters in Japan because their point is, look, this move hurts the head and neck more than it hurts the back. That's why it doesn't hurt the guy who's giving it. So they call it a brainbuster. Just about all suplexes, vertical suplexes, are called brainbusters. But this is a vertical spike brainbuster, meaning this is coming straight down. We aren't going backwards. We're coming straight down, and Nakajima is the best at this. Look at him drop Masa Kitamiya straight down on that head right after getting what I thought was a knockout blow. That was enough to do it in just over 10 minutes. Nakajima wins the first N1 victory tournament match of the night. It was great. It was between two guys who have a history, who have amazing chemistry in the ring together, and I loved every second of this. Great way to kick off this tournament. Big win for Nakajima, who has won it 2 years in a row. Could he win it 3 in a row? He absolutely could. Keep your eye out on Katsuhiko Nakajima. But don't rule out Masa Kitamiya. He looked like a beast. He looked like an animal here. And there's no way that he's going to go through this without some wins and some major wins and still stands a chance at winning this, even though he lost this first matchup. No doubt about that whatsoever. This is good, guys, and it's only going to get better from here. Second match of the N1 tournament, third match of the night. Masato Tanaka taking on Anthony Green. What a privilege for Anthony Green here. I mean, not to downplay the guy, but to be invited, not only to be invited into Pro Wrestling Noah, but to be made an entrant, given an entrance into the N1 tournament, that's pretty special. I'm kind of jealous. Started with a handshake because, these guys don't have any animosity toward one another. They're just out to win this tournament and go for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. Started off with some ground wrestling. Masato Tanaka taking control of Anthony Green's left arm
And I'm telling you guys, for the first 5-6 minutes of this match, that's what it was about. Masato Tanaka seeking to damage to take out a limb, the left arm of Anthony Green. Anthony Green does get a go behind here, does escape that arm clasp, and gets a little bit of control. But again, the first half of this match was all about Tanaka in control. Here they are clamping up, just trying to gain an advantage. The first minute or two of this match was about that. Masato Tanaka getting a big monkey flip, tossing Anthony Green over. Anthony Green coming up and laying in with some heavy, stiff chops, backing Masato Tanaka up. Green showing some signs of life, coming off the rope with a flying drop kick, knocking Masato Tanaka down. Tanaka's up, though, and starts delivering a big elbow to the chin of Anthony Green, sending him down. And again, what does he do? Gets control of that left arm. I'm telling you, it was like one of the Andersons were wrestling here. Masato Tanaka was on a mission beyond a shadow of doubt, as you see here. He takes Green to the canvas and continues to manipulate that wrist and that elbow and that shoulder, trying to take out the left arm, trying to make Green tap out, give up, give in, surrender. When he gets up, he just stomps away at that left arm and shoulder, even though Green is in the ropes. And we get a divorce court style of move. I don't think it's exactly the same that the Midnight Express did, but Tanaka gets that wrist and arm trapped and just falls down in a DDT style of motion. But the objective is to hurt that arm, maybe take it out of the socket, the shoulder out of the socket. And looky what we got here again. Tanaka with the left arm bent back, and he's pressing hard down into the mat, trying to make Green give it up, trying to make Green realize I'm not going to beat this veteran, and he's going to break my arm if I don't give up. But he doesn't give up. He gets back up. He continues to fight. Green showed a hell of a lot of toughness here, taking a stiff forearm shot and a running forearm in the ropes from Tanaka, who was just brutalizing his Gaijin opponent. Green does come back here with a clothesline from his right arm, knowing, his left's been, attacked pretty well, uses his right arm with a big lariat, sending Tanaka down and hitting him, jumping back up and hitting him with a chin breaker and a twisting neck breaker. So Green taking some control here, hitting the pedigree. Shortly after that, Green showing huge signs of life here. He's starting to come back after having his left arm worked over for at least 5 minutes of this match. He is starting to come back with a huge pedigree there. And they get into fisticuffs after this, standing beside each other, nailing one another with those stiff forearm shots. Again, so popular in Japan, popular in America here too, though, but they make more sense and they're done so much better in Japan. That's just a fact of it. Those two going at it. Tanaka puts Green in the corner, sets him on the top rope, climbs up there with him, and delivers what I believe was a DDT or just a head smash. He sort of jumped down with Green's head in his hands or his arms and knocked it off the top turnbuckle. Couldn't really tell exactly what he did, but it was a clear headshot on Green on the top, from the top rope onto the top turnbuckle. And afterwards, Tanaka dumped Green to the outside and figured he would go out there and work him over out there. Picks him up, goes to throw him into the barricade, but Green actually reverses and tosses Tanaka. This is where Green really made his comeback. In the ring there with that pedigree was the beginning phases of it, but Tanaka came back from that and got him in the corner, delivered that head blow and tossed him outside. But Green on the outside, it's like he woke up. It's like he was offended or especially driven once they reached the outside to not let the former ECW World Champion work him over on the outside. He doesn't. He smashes Tanaka into the barrier, throws him over the barrier, and then runs at him with a cross body block, leaping over the outside barrier onto Tanaka. Green then rolls Tanaka back into the ring and does that move where he stands on the top rope and takes 2 or 3 steps, twisting out into the top rope, diving down onto Tanaka successfully, but that does not get the pin. Green gets Tanaka in the corner and attempts to deliver a power bomb off of the rope. He sort of like flipped over him while holding his legs and tries to walk him out for a power bomb, but Tanaka holds on. Green kicks back with a super kick, which was a great move, no doubt about that. That nailed Tanaka really hard, sent him for a loop, allowing Green to then walk him out of that corner and deliver the sit-down powerbomb he was looking for just moments ago. Wasn't enough to put Tanaka away, so once again, these two come to blows. We get the forearm shots back and forth. Who is going to be the winner of this battle? Green rears back with a mule kick, surprising Tanaka, sending him down, and they go spiraling into the corner, fighting it out until Green twists around and manages to pull out Tanaka's legs from under him, sending Tanaka's head falling hard onto that bottom turnbuckle. It was a smart move. But as Green comes charging in, Tanaka gets his right foot up, kicks him in the face, and Green manages to pull him out and get what looked like Green was going to get a massive sit-down powerbomb or a pile driver of some sort, but no, Tanaka was in control here and gets the float over stunner, basically, off the top rope out of the corner. Tanaka was determined a few times here to get Green on the top rope and deliver an offensive blow. And while he did get that head smash, it was kind of confusing what he was going for there. Here he successfully does get Green onto the top rope, managing to climb up to the top rope himself and nailing a big brainbuster off the top rope onto Anthony Green. He then calls out that it was time for his Superfly splash. He climbs to the top rope, and you can see Green trying to get up here, scrambling to get up, but he does not make it. Tanaka nails him hard with the Superfly, but Green does not stay down. He gets up at the 2 count. Tanaka realizes he's going to have to finish him off with his finishing move, the sliding D. He backs up into the rope and charges in and nails that sliding forearm in under the chin of Anthony Green. That was enough to do it. Put Green away. Winner goes to Tanaka. Win goes to Tanaka. He gets 2 points. Anthony Green at 0 at this point. At first, guys, it looked like Tanaka had this in the bag. Now he did win it, obviously, but it looked like it wasn't going to be much of a challenge. To his credit, Green charged back. I really saw something happen to him when he was tossed outside the ring. Really gave it all. Really looked like he had the match won himself in the last 5 minutes of the match or so. But Tanaka realized, okay, this kid's legit. I think Tanaka did underestimate him a little bit. Even though he controlled the first 5 minutes, I think that control allowed Tanaka to believe this was going to be easier than it was. And then when he realized, whoa, wait a minute, if I don't start, getting with it and doing something other than working this kid's arm over, I could lose this match. And he did. He got into a more Masato Tanaka mode, if you will, turned it up. Green turned it up as well. Wasn't quite enough. I mean, look, this is a grizzled veteran that has had so many championships. It's crazy. Green is still pretty young in the business. I'm not calling him a rookie, but, he's nowhere near Tanaka's level of experience. And that was the difference here. It was the experience. It was the tenacity. It was performing in a tournament like this that did it for Masato Tanaka, not making excuses for Green, who, much like the first match of the night, you're going to keep an eye on all these losers. I mean, that sounds a horrible thing to say, but anybody who loses in night one is not out of this. Keep an eye on them. It doesn't make them losers. It's just of this match. And Green's another one in that boat. I look for him to get some wins in this match, in this tournament for sure. But this was just his kickoff match. Came up a little short, but no embarrassment to come up short against a man like Tanaka. Fourth match of the night, third match of the N1 Victory Tournament. Katsu Funake, one of my absolute favorites. I love watching this guy work. Versus Kinya Okada, the young kid who just made it into this tournament by beating Yoshiki Inamura just the other day in a match where the winner advanced to take Timothy Thatcher's spot since he unfortunately is having visa issues. This started off with Funaki coming into the ring and with his beautiful GHC National Championship, a title that he has held since January. No one's touching this guy. I don't know who's ever going to beat him, to tell you the truth. Kinya Okada coming in prepared, as serious as can be, but there's no way this guy isn't slightly frightened. I mean, for your first match in the N1 to be against Funaki, one of the purest wrestlers on the face of this planet, I can't even imagine. And this started off with both guys just measuring each other up. Funaki, I think, could have won this at any second. And I like Kinya Okada, and I was thrilled to see him get this big win, but this is a mismatch of all mismatches. Funaki played with this kid all match long. Here, this is Kinya Okada backing up from a hard slap to the side of the face. I mean, Funaki just cracked him a good one in the face and about knocked the kid out. Kinya Okada did shoot in, ended up in a headlock, and got taken down and mounted immediately. Funaki then just started open palm striking him over and over, and then got him into sort of an Anaconda Vice type move, took his right arm, bent it across his own throat, and then rained down slaps and punches, and the kid only had one arm to defend himself. He was in this move for some time until Funaki decided to try to get him in an armbar. And just as Funaki broke Kenya Okada's grip and got that armbar on, that would have absolutely ended this match. Kenya Okada did get a foot on the ropes and broke that up. He was greeted with stiff kicks to the chest from Funaki as he rose, but did get Funaki in a gut wrench suplex. He ate a lot of strikes here and got a nice gut wrench suplex on Funaki. I mean, that's a piece of offense. Anytime you get a nice offensive move on a guy like Funaki, you got to be proud of yourself. Then Kenya Okada goes for the abdominal stretch, the octopus stretch, if you will. But you can see the length of Funaki here, his arms. He's not stretched out anywhere like he should be if this move stands any chance of doing much damage. Funaki has his left arm on the canvas, basically giving himself some support here. Kenya Okada did hold that move and turn it into a takedown, which is also, hey, you took Funaki down. That's a good move. But Funaki used his right leg for leverage and scrambled out of it and got on his feet. Kenya Okada then did get his kicks in. And these are major moves of Kenya Okada. Much like Nakajima, Kenya Okada has some amazing kicks. They're not on that level, but they are very hard and they are very heavy. If you look at Kenya Okada's legs, you can see they are massive. They're bigger than someone like Nakajima. And they're probably slower because of that, but they're probably also a little more powerful, believe it or not. But Funaki tries to get an armbar. Kenya Okada does use his right arm to brace himself on the mat, gets taken down and punted in the chest by Funaki, who bounds off the rope with that kick. Here, Okada, I think, is sensing the end, sensing that, he can't really compete with this guy. And I hate saying that. I really do. But look, it's just a fact when it comes to these two. He nails some stiff forearm shots. They go back and forth. Funaki hits a spinning back fist, and about knocks the kid out. About knocks Okada completely out. Actually stood there and tried to see if he was going to get back up. Once Funaki saw that he wasn't completely out, he picked him up and drove him down with a pile driver that pretty much ended the match at that point. But before the referee really had much chance to see if Kenya Okada could continue after that spinning back fist followed by a pile driver, Funaki just locks in this choke that almost makes it hard for me to breathe looking at this. Tell me that doesn't look incredible. I mean, you can see Kenya Okada fading. You can see the color of his face not matching the rest of his body here. He is out. This is over. Ref stops the match, gives the win to the artist, to one of the best wrestlers in the world today, Funaki, by far. Now, Funaki does go over and check on Kenya Okada, seems a little concerned, wants to say, hey, nice job, kid. It was nice working with you. But basically is really just seeing that he's okay, grabs his national title, holds it aloft. Still waiting on a challenger for this title. We'll see what happens after this big tournament. But this match, honestly, the fact that Kenya Okada went over 5 minutes, I don't recall, I think this might have been 7-8 minutes long. That's kind of impressive, but at the same time, Funaki was playing with him. I think he could have ended this in probably the first minute or two. I really do. And Kenya Okada could go through this whole tournament without any points. That is a distinct possibility. And that really isn't slighting him. That happened to Manabu Soya last year. And, he's more along and more experienced than Kenya Okada. But he might score an upset victory over somebody along the way. We'll have to wait and see. He's very talented. But to get Funaki as your first opponent in the N1, God bless you. Not just Okada, but whoever would have drawn that name in the first round. But I love watching Funaki wrestle. He's amazing. One of the best in the world by far. Fifth match of the night. Fourth match of the N1 Victory Tournament. Masaki Mochizuki taking on Hideki Suzuki. Started with a lockup. Of course, we get the information at the bottom of the screen. If you watch these shows, you'll know what that's about there. This information right here tells you who everybody is, what their special moves are. Of course, it's in Japanese. These two fought back and forth, trying to gain control until they backed into the ropes. Mochizuki had his back against the ropes, and he's basically like trying to distance himself from Suzuki. Man, if you could see here, you can see his bottom foot is on the outside of the ropes there. So the ref absolutely has to break it because he's not even only on the ropes, they're in the ropes. And when that happens, Mochizuki actually steps outside the ring. He needs to clear his head. He wasn't really at a distinct disadvantage here, but he really wanted to clear his head. Comes back into the ring and 30 seconds or so, seems ready to go. And his plan of attack,
I don't know if this was from the beginning. Maybe he worked this out when he was outside the ring there for a few moments. I don't know, but his plan of attack was to go after the left knee of Suzuki, which has been reconstructed. He wears that heavy brace, and Mochizuki spent, the vast majority of this bout doing all that he could to take that knee out. From kick after kick after kick, he just went after it. He got Suzuki down, pulled him to the ring post, and wrapped his left leg around it, or that brace going right around it. And I think this is why I believe Mochizuki decided to go this way when he was outside. I think he got outside the ring and just thought, okay, and this was part of his plan. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to get that knee brace, and I'm going to wrap it around the ring post, because he did this numerous times. And it's not a bad idea. Mochizuki is a great wrestler. Don't misunderstand, but Hideki Suzuki's probably on a slightly higher level, in my humble opinion. And Mochizuki really got it in his head that if he just, takes this guy's left leg out, takes that reconstructed knee out, he's going to win. Maybe put Suzuki out of the tournament completely. I'm not saying he had that vile of intentions, but I don't know. Again, here you see him just wrapping that leg up, trying to do anything he could to injure this left knee. And now here's my concern with me talking about this, guys. It's going to come across kind of boring, meaning my discussion of this matchup, because most of this match, this is what Mochizuki did. Just attack the knee with different kinds of holds, kicks, strikes, everything he could. He got him down and wrapped it up and tried to get a knee bar. Once again, he got both of his hands hooked, you can see there, trying to apply as much pressure as he could on that left knee. Suzuki was in holds like this for quite a while, finally breaking them by getting to the ropes, but Mochizuki, when they get back up, goes right back after that knee. Now, Mochizuki did deliver some kicks to the midsection and the sternum and even the head from time to time, but he only did that when he knew that he had Suzuki worn down, when he knew that leg wasn't holding all of his weight, and said he'd do things like this. He'd go after him with kicks to different parts of the body, but he would always return to that knee, always return to the left knee, kicking it, slamming it, doing all that he could. Here he's getting some kicks in the midsection because he knows Suzuki is worn down. But finally, Hideki Suzuki caught one of those kicks. And that was always the danger for Mochizuki going in here. If you are going to just utilize kicks against this man on his reconstructed knee, and then other parts of his body when you feel like, his knee is not supporting him, you're going to run the risk of having one of them caught. And that's what happened here. And that turned the tide of the match. Suzuki gets a big suplex and then hooks both of his ankles and feet around the head of Mochizuki and does that twisting maneuver. You can't really see it on this screenshot, but he just twists his body, turning the neck and head of Mochizuki, and then gets a cravat locked on Mochizuki. And to be honest with you, again, at the risk of this description being boring, I love this match. This was wrestling. This was pure wrestling. Catch as catch can. I loved it. But when you talk about it, and you just talk about somebody attacking somebody's knee and then somebody's attacking somebody's neck and head, okay. But that's what this turned into. Hideki Suzuki went after the head and neck of Mochizuki for quite a while, in the same way that Mochizuki was going after his left knee. He just wanted to punish the neck and head. He flipped him over. He did the flip while locked in the cravat, but held onto it and continued to twist like he's trying to pop the head off of Mochizuki, then did finally spin it around and give him a twisting, spinning neck breaker, but then quickly went right back to the cravat. It's like Suzuki is saying to Mochizuki, all right, bitch, you're going to go after my leg? Maybe you don't have a reconstructed head, but by the time this match is over, you will. You will. You'll have to go to the hospital and have the innards between your ears checked out and reconstructed. Suzuki really was trying to just make Mochizuki suffer badly with these cravats. I mean, look at this. He turned it into a neck crank, a chin lock neck crank, pulling back. Look at how much he's pulling back there. Look at the expression on Mochizuki's face. Mochizuki not having a good time. At this point, Mochizuki was nearing the ropes and would have this hold broken. So what Suzuki did is he utilized both of his hands to cover the face of Mochizuki to obstruct his breathing. All right, yeah, you're going to get to the ropes, it looks like, but Before you do, let me make it hard to breathe for you so you'll get back up slower and have to be gasping for air. And that's what happened, allowing Suzuki to nail a big brain buster once Mochizuki got up. But Mochizuki did recover from that move and caught Suzuki in a backslide and got a 2 3/4 count, very close. Was first to his feet after Suzuki kicked out of that with a big running kick to the sternum and another suplex / brain buster from Mochizuki. But Hideki Suzuki is not pinned from that and instead nails a backbreaker. Now, this could have been a huge mistake for Suzuki because he nailed this backbreaker on his reconstructed knee. Was he not thinking? I don't know. Maybe he's thinking that brace would do more damage to somebody's back. I don't know. But he hits a backbreaker on Mochizuki on that reconstructed knee, followed by some European uppercuts and a huge pile driver. Just a wicked pile driver, almost as bad as Funaki's earlier, but not quite because it wasn't enough to keep Mochizuki down. So he does nail him with his, I don't even know, his gut wrench suplex. I mean, it's a huge, high angle gut wrench style of suplex. I'm not sure what he calls it, if anything, but that did it. That put Mochizuki down. He had worn his head and neck down, taken his breath away, taken the worst moves that Mochizuki had to offer and stood there. You can see just slightly that left leg forward raised a little bit. He's still not putting all his weight on it, but he did overcome everything Mochizuki did try to do, and Mochizuki gave his all to take this man out, something I think he almost had to do to win this, but he didn't get the job done. Hideki Suzuki with a big win and 2 points in the tournament. I love this match.
Sixth match of the night, including the dark match. This is a little break in the N1 tournament as we get a 6-man match between all the Noah Junior regulars, all the Noah Junior Army. And I said at the beginning of the show that I almost skipped the first match that wasn't an N1 match, but didn't. So I'm not going to do it here either. But we're not going to go over this play-by-play, blow-by-blow. Number one, it's a 6-man junior match, and I just couldn't keep up if I wanted to. Not with screenshots. Oh, my God. To get good screenshots of all the moves here, I would have to pause it every couple seconds, and it would take me an hour and a half to get through a 10-minute match. So I'm not doing that. But this was worth watching. I mean, this is always, fast-paced, crazy Noah Juniors. Kicked off with Yohei versus Kai Fujimura. And, of course, anytime you see a young guy in this, like Kai Fujimura, you assume he's probably going to lose the matchup. But we had some good stuff here. Katogi and Harada. Look, every time I see a multi-man match that includes Daisuke Harada, all that accomplishes for me is to further cement in my mind that Daisuke Harada is the best of the Noah Juniors. One of the best juniors in the world. And that's giving no slack to someone like Katogi, who is also very good, but Harada is just on another level to me. We got the crazy, fast-paced matchup between Alejandro and Seiki Yoshioka. And then, Seiki Yoshioka got slowed down by Katogi. Yohei and Seiki Yoshioka is always good. They have gotten past their animosity in the distant past, but, there's got to be a little bit of it there when they get in the ring together, wanting to show the other one up, I would think. But again, Daisuke Harada comes in here and just takes care of business all the time. See there, his bridging suplex there on Yohei. Didn't get the 3 count, but looked incredible. Yohei's out there nailing his ridiculously high, incredibly to form drop kicks. And Harada's bulldog, which didn't end the match, which I often think should. And his Scorpion Death Drop, his reverse DDT on Harada, didn't end the matchup. It came down to Kai Fujimura versus Katoge. Come on, do the math. You know who's going to win this matchup. Not taking anything away from it. It was a good match. It was a fun match. It was an exciting match. It was fast-paced. It was, if you want a break from the matches we've seen so far, this was a break, meaning something completely different. Katoge getting nailed on the outside from Kai Fujimura, who does a plancha, a leaping jump over the top rope. Harada holds Katogi up so Kai Fujimura could nail him with a forearm off the top rope. But look, again, it was Kai Fujimura versus Katoge. You know who's going to win this. Katogi comes in with a punt kick. Now, this was cool. Kai Fujimura actually trying to sunset flip Katoge, and it sort of doesn't go well, but he holds him still as Daisuke Harada comes in with a big scissors kick, taking him down. But in the end, Kai Fujimura is the loser. He gets hit with the kill shot from Kotogi, giving the win to Alejandro, Sushi Kotogi, and Yohei. Like I said, really good match, fast-paced, enjoyable, nice break from what we've been seeing. I personally don't need a break from the greatness we've been seeing, but that's taking nothing away from these guys. They got to make an appearance. They got to do their stuff. Absolutely not must-watch. Again, not because there was anything wrong with it, but if you're like, hey, just give me these N1 matches, this is completely skippable, but enjoyable for what it was. Seventh match of the night, sixth match of the N1 Victory Tournament, sees Cayito Kitamiya facing newcomer Jack Morris. Now, this guy just came out of the blue. Apparently, a while back, and I remember this because I shared it and begged some of my favorite wrestlers to send applications in, Noah was looking for gaijins, foreigners, to apply to come in to Pro Wrestling Noah, and they say they got thousands. I wish they'd have picked some of my guys, and that's nothing against Jack Morris. This guy, we're going to get into him. But I really wanted to see John Gresham. I really want to see Alexander Hammerstone go back. So many guys I'd like to see over there. But Jack Morris, he earned his keep, that's for sure. Cayito Kitamiya came out to the ring, and he looking like he stole his outfit from Adrian Street. I don't know what this is about. Cayito Kitamiya is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Now, the gear isn't horrible. I just sort of shocked me. I don't know, the fluorescent yellow and blue and greens, and I don't know, sort of kind of looks circusy to me. I'm not a fan of it. The same way with the blonde hair. I prefer the dark hair, the natural dark hair, but still the wrestler that he is. He and Jack Morris meet center of the ring and shake hands, and we are off. Jack Morris backs Cayito Kitamiya in the ropes, and we get a very clean break without any kind of problem whatsoever. They then engage, looking for wrist control, both of them struggling to gain control in the matchup, but Jack Morris does get control of Kitamiya's left arm, takes him down with a shoulder bar down to one knee, but Kitamiya quickly turns that into a head scissors and takes Jack Morris down, holding him pretty close to the ropes. But instead of using the ropes to escape, Morris actually does the handstand thing. You know, when you're in a head scissors and a wrestler will just do a headstand. And Morris did this and wiggled his legs. And with Kitamiya looking up in amazement, just doing all he could to get out of this, there's a shot of him wiggling his legs and Kitamiya looking on like, whoa, what's going on here? It works, and he slides into side control with a headlock, does Jack Morris. Follows that up by getting off the ground and meeting Cayito Kitamiya on a rebound off the ropes with a drop kick to the midsection. Wasn't very high, but I don't think he aimed high. I think his goal here was to hit Kitamiya in the midsection, which he did. Threw Kitamiya into the corner and flew in with a leaping forearm smash. Tossed Kitamiya to the outside, and then a leaping tope suicida through the ropes onto Kitamiya on the outside. Both men got back into the ring quickly, where Jack Morris hit a snapmare on Kitamiya, taking him down, and finished that up with a running drop kick to the face of a seated Kitamiya. He then put his knee in Kitamiya's back and dropped his knee down into the square of his back, and Kitamiya responded with a drop kick of his own to the face. He's not hitting the midsection, not Kitamiya. He's in the face of Jack Morris, followed with a high leaping elbow drop onto a prone Jack Morris. And if you can see, look at the expression on Morris's face there as he sees this elbow drop coming. Kitamiya tosses Morris into the corner, who almost seems jubilant about it, almost like it didn't hurt him at all, like he's waiting to see what's next. And he finds out what's next as Kitamiya comes flying in with a running, smashing, flying forearm of his own, and then scoop belly to back slam on Jack Morris, who goes down hard and finds himself caught in a sleeper hold. And things aren't looking good for the young Jack Morris as he's struggling to get to the ropes to break up this sleeper hold. He gets to the ropes and Kitamiya has to break it, and Jack Morris lifts him up and just drops him. I thought he was going to go for like springboard suplex here, where he would springboard like off the top rope and suplex him like the old Tully Blanchard move. But he didn't. He just dropped him, draped him over the top rope, followed that up with a few knees to the midsection as well as shin kicks to the side of Kitamiya's head as he hung there, backed up and flew in with a diving drop kick to the small of Kitamiya's back. Morris then got on the apron and tried to do a rolling senton type of move onto Kitamiya, but Kitamiya wisely saw it coming and got his knees up, inflicting some serious pain onto Morris. As Morris tried to recover from that, Kitamiya bounded off the top rope with another flying forearm smash
and then a missile drop kick onto a surprised Jack Morris, who is now clearly on the defense here. Kitamiya got a belly to back toss. It was more of a toss than a suplex. I mean, he took him and just threw him over his left shoulder hard, then came in with some forearms. But this actually turned into a back and forth battle between these two for supremacy. Back and forth forearm smashes and punches, trying to get the better of one another, until Kitamiya came in with his flying knee, nailing a high right knee to the chin of Jack Morris, taking him down. But Kitamiya, instead of going for the cover, went to the top rope to go for another missile drop kick or something from the top rope, and Morris was up and met him with a drop kick of his own. And I think that took a lot out of Kitamiya there. I think he was surprised by that. I think it took the breath out of him, and I think he was shocked that Morris responded as quickly as he did. After that flurry of offense, Kitamiya got on him there. Jack Morris then nails a big F5 type of maneuver, got him in the fireman's carry, and sort of twisted him around and dropped with a sort of semi-cutter. I think that's similar to the F5, very close to it. This led to Jack Morris trying to get in what I thought was going to be a pedigree, but Kitamiya fought out of it, and Jack Morris turned it into a spine buster, a big spine buster. This allowed Morris to pick Kitamiya up in this position you see there. Could it be a power bomb? Wasn't exactly sure what he was going for, but he turns it into a Falcon Arrow bomb. Just as you see, we'll go back here, lifts him up in that position. I didn't know what exactly he was going for, and he turns it into a Falcon Arrow dive, a Falcon Arrow driver, if you will. And ladies and gentlemen, your winner with that move after an intense back and forth matchup. Major upset here, even though yours truly called it. On the last Mount Ararat podcast, I said if Jack Morris is good enough to be invited in here by Pro Wrestling Noah for the N1 tournament in his first appearance in the company, he's got to be pretty damn good. He's got to be pretty damn impressive, and he was. And he gets a gigantic win, not just a good match. He gets a big win over Cayito Kitamiya, the new look. Cayito Kitamiya came in here charged up, came in here ready to win this tournament. Now, he still could. Don't get me wrong. One loss does not put you out of this tournament. But Jack Morris, I mean, living up to the hype. Is he who's worthy of coming into Pro Wrestling Noah in their first matchup being in the N1 tournament? Well, Jack Morris is, because he pinned Cayito Kitamiya in his first match in Noah, in his first match in the N1 tournament. I better see a lot of you folks talking about this guy. We need more research on this guy. We need more information on this guy. He clearly is a star. He clearly is someone Noah should bring in regularly, because to come in here and just get a win like this is like nothing I've seen in Noah. I don't want to say ever, but I don't remember the last time I saw a win, a victory this big, this huge. There, Jack Morris just standing over the prone, over the fallen Cayito Kitamiya. Wow. Unreal. What a show. 8th match here, folks. 7th match officially. 8 including the dark match. We have the leader of Congo, my guys. Congo. Keno. Taking on the guy, the self-professed Congo hunter. He declared himself this several weeks back. Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. So let's see what old Dr. Wagner's got in store. Wagner comes in looking good. New mask. Got sort of wings on the side there. I kind of like it. I like the blue. I like the look of it. But Congo, you know, Keno in the red coming in there on fire. Literally, almost. I mean, the guy's just such a fiery dude. He comes in. He gets taken over pretty quickly after they fight for some control for, 30, 45 seconds or so. Of course, Wagner Jr. just relies on a luchador move. The Frankensteiner, if you will, the Hurricanrana, the head scissors takeover. Then Dr. Wagner's on the outside. Keno's just looking like what's going on here, decides he's going to go out after him. He runs out of the ring. Wagner slides back in. Keno's annoyed, crawls back in the ring. Wagner slides out. Wagner playing head games with Keno. Doesn't seem real smart to me. Keno finally fakes him out, and they both end up on the outside of the ring at the same time, where Keno takes control, whips Wagner Jr. into the barricade so hard that he floats up over top of it into the crowd. Keno pulls him back over the barricade and throws him head first
into the outside ring post. He actually does that twice before throwing him back into the ring, rolling back in after him, and begins stomping down on him, including nailing a short from the ground, PFS, double knees onto the sternum of Wagner Jr. But if you can see there, Wagner did throw his arms up. He crossed his arms across his body, did protect himself. He saw that coming and protected himself to some degree. Keno then, in his frustration, still from Wagner playing head games with him, leaving the ring, tries to pull his mask off. He gets down there. He knows that's what you do to disrespect luchadors. He knows that's what you do to get them riled up, what you do to embarrass them. So he's going to go down there and he's going to rip at that mask. He's going to pull it away. Now, he's not successful. The referee actually starts a 5 count and breaks it up. But I'm not sure how smart a move that was on Keno's part, because this gets Wagner Jr. fired up, and he's pretty damn good the rest of this match. Not that he's not good to begin with, but he really seemed to take inspiration from that incident and gets a big backbreaker on Keno there. But Keno does swing back with a big high left boot to the face, followed by several kicks to the top of Wagner's back, followed by a big swinging kick of his right leg into the throat region of Dr. Wagner, followed by the move where he has his knee in the top of Wagner's back and pulls back on his chin, just trying to break him in half, trying to get him to submit. Wagner does roll out of that, but Keno maintains control of the headlock, picks him up off the ground, and gives him a big vertical scoop slam. I mean, this was just a body slam, but it was a big one. Keno then locks in the leg scissors. Now, this is a tough move. If you notice here, Keno almost looks like he's more stressed in this move than Dr. Wagner, because to hold your legs around a man the size of El Hijo Wagner Jr., let's just stick with that, the son of Dr. Wagner Jr., to hold your legs around someone that thick, that big, that takes a lot of effort. I mean, Keno's no small man, but Wagner Jr. is thick. He's like a tree trunk, and he's really trying to squeeze, and Wagner there doesn't look two-faced, but he is trapped. He's not able to break out of it right away. He does eventually get out of it and comes up with a hard chop to Keno's chest. Keno responds to that with a spinning heel kick to Dr. Wagner, but Dr. Wagner throws, sort of backdrops Keno over the top rope, who lands on his feet on the apron, but as he tries to bound back into the ring, Wagner Jr. sees him coming and rears back with a mule kick, a backward kick, right to Keno's face. I mean, Keno's momentum coming over that top rope ran him right into Wagner's foot, and this allows Wagner Jr. to back up and deliver 2 tope suicidas in a row. They almost look identical, but they are 2 different ones, nailing Keno hard in the outside. Then he charges to the corner, climbs up, and leaps over the top turnbuckle onto a standing Keno, knocking him down to the ground. Both men wind up on the apron, where they go back and forth. They both get several shots on each other on the apron. Keno gets back in the ring, and Dr. Wagner delivers a hard shoulder thrust to the midsection of Keno pretty much as soon as he lands back inside the ring, then climbs to the top rope and is down with a big body splash on the GHC champion. Follows that with an enziguri to the back of Keno's head, knocking the champion for the loop. And Keno comes down with a small PFS again off the apron. Didn't climb up to the ropes for this, but does land the PFS on the small of Dr. Wagner's back, and follows that up with a running knee to the back of Wagner's head, taking him down, getting him exasperated enough that he can apply his ankle lock. And he has this on Wagner for quite some time. Now, I've transitioned there, but the ankle lock is on Wagner till he eventually gets to the ropes, and this takes several minutes. So I think this took a little bit of out of Wagner. He did not submit, and he did work his way to the ropes, but he did struggle. When he does break free, he gets an octopus stretch on Keno. I got to wonder if a weakened ankle affected this. He did hold it for a little bit of time. Keno was clearly distressed and in pain here, but it didn't last a long time, and I would attribute that toward that ankle being locked out there for some time. There's Keno reaching the ropes, breaking out of that octopus stretch. Dr. Wagner responds with a back elbow to Keno, who responds with one of his thrust kicks, his high kicks to the sternum of Dr. Wagner. Wagner Jr. locks in a full Nelson. Don't see that a whole lot in wrestling anymore. It doesn't seem like guys try the full Nelson a lot. I don't know why. It's a good move, especially a big, strong man like Wagner Jr. ought to be able to add it to his repertoire with no problem. But Keno's not giving up. He's fighting it, gets out of the move, and delivers another high kick to the sternum of Dr. Wagner Jr., who quickly responds with a huge lariat. I mean, he took Keno's head off with this, reminiscence of Goji Ozaki, of
Stan Hansen, of all the mighty lariat throwers, this one was. I mean, this one hit hard. I was a little worried the match could be over there, but Keno kicked out at 2 and responds with a high boot to Wagner's face, then comes in with the soccer ball kick to the chest of Wagner Jr. and goes for the top rope PFS, his finishing move, one of his best finishing moves. But as you can see there, Wagner saw it coming, rolled out of the way. Keno lands on his feet, gets scooped up by Dr. Wagner and hit with the Wagner bomb, which is a head first knee. You know, he goes down on his knees head first, and reminiscent of a pile driver, but almost like a scoop falling pile driver. It looked pretty wicked. Keno kicked out. Dr. Wagner Jr. was going to the top rope here. Going to do some kind of move, not exactly sure what. Keno, in desperation, saw that and just bounded up to the ropes. You can see here Keno's feet aren't even on the ropes. He actually grabbed the back of Wagner Jr.'s mask to help him balance himself there, pretty much trying to choke the challenger, his challenger. Now, this isn't a title match, but Keno's wrestling like it is, trying to choke out Wagner Jr. on that top rope. Can't quite get that good of a grip, but they come to the ground, and you can see here in this image that Keno really has this locked in pretty good, even though his left arm isn't solidly under the chin. Look at Wagner's mask. You can see that it's pulled down over his eyes. He was very likely disoriented. His nose is the nostrils, the nose holes are clearly down by his mouth. I'm not saying he couldn't breathe here, but it had to be an annoyance. It had to be an obstruction. And I believe that is the risk masked wrestlers take. When you wear a mask, I've seen wrestlers in the past, and I'm shocked Keno's never done this. I've seen wrestlers in the past take a luchador or anybody who's in a mask and spin the mask around. Okay, so instantly they can't see. Instantly it's tougher to breathe. I have a luchador mask somewhere. I look ridiculous in it, so I have it put away somewhere. I'll have to put a picture of me wearing it sometime so you can laugh. But I can't imagine. It's not like your airway's completely obstructed and you're in horrible danger. But it is an annoyance when you've got cloth pressed tight, because these masks are tight, right? And they're pressed up against your nose and they're pressed up against your face. And that's the situation we saw here. Wagner gets out of it, though, because as we noted, that arm wasn't completely under his chin, and he headbutts Keno in the left shoulder. Now, I'm wondering if he was going for the jaw or the face or the head here and just didn't get high enough from being disoriented, because while that hurt Keno and caused him to reel, a headbutt to the shoulder is nowhere near as powerful or meaningful as one to the chin, the face, or the head. And Keno is dazed slightly by the headbutt, but instantly locks in the chokehold, the sleeper hold again. And once again, you can look here, you can see the mask is down under his eyes, under his nose. You do see his mouth seems to be in pretty much proper position. But again, this mask has to be an obstruction and has to be somewhat of an annoyance. And that's it. I mean, he can't, the ref sees that the chokehold is locked on hard. I'm thinking Wagner Jr. must have said something or must have just had his eyes rolled to the back of his head, even though with that mask there, I don't know how I could have saw that. But it was over. This was clearly the end. Once Keno gets that rear naked choke locked in completely under the chin, you can just forget about it. Keno, your winner here, grabs his GHC Heavyweight Championship, stands over the fallen Dr. Wagner Jr., and poses in his Keno and his Congo pose, his strong pose for the crowd. For me, I love it. Yes, I'm biased. I'm a big fan of Keno. I'm a big fan of Congo. Almost wore my Congo shirt today. Decided I'll wait to another day. Maybe if they make one of them make the finals or something. But I love this faction. I love this group, and it was nice to see Keno win this for me. Dr. Wagner Jr. looked like a title contender, though. I got to tell you, I think based on this performance, he'll get a title shot down the road. I do. Usually, the champion has to be beaten for somebody to get a title shot, but I think Wagner Jr. worked this match so well, so strongly, so good, that he came across like a main event guy, and maybe against Funaki. You know, maybe he'll get a national title shot. I think he looked that good here, but Keno came out on top. Just going to be honest with you guys, this match review isn't going to take that long. I came into this show thinking there were 10 matches. There are 11 because they added this. This doesn't excite me. I'm not here to shit on it. Calm down. Love pro wrestling Noah, but this match does nothing for me, did nothing for me. It was pretty much what I expected. We got Marufuji, El Hijo del Santo, then Ultimo Dragon teaming up to take on Parastamal de Japón.
Nosawa Rongai, Kotaro Suzuki, and Super Crazy. This is what, right here, is what this match is about getting three legends from all over the world. I mean, Japan and Mexico, but just three legends. Marufuji, absolutely a legend. Del Santo, a legend in Mexico. And Ultimo Dragon, a legend himself. This match it wasn't a comedy match, but it was a little goofy. Paris Del Mal was here to be humiliated. I'm not a Paris Del Mal fan, but that's what this match was about, and they pretty much were. I mean, they spent some time trying to rip the mask off Del Santo and trying to rip the mask off Ultimo Dragon, and just being ridiculous, and then apologizing for it, fake apology so they could sneak attack, and the rowing machine, the rowboat, I forget what this is even called. I haven't seen this move in 30 years. I don't hate it. This move used to be used like when the Fantastics, the professional wrestler tag team in America, were wrestling a real major heel team, Midnight Express, the Sheep Herders, what have you. They would get this move on to sort of pop the crowd. The crowd would laugh at this. Again, it's not comedy wrestling, but it is sort of a funny move where you row the legs of your opponents and spreading them out is hurting their groin, what have you, and they're screaming in pain and they're humiliated at the same time. So of course that came out here, and this is how the match ended. Del Santo was the legal man, even though this was a no-touch match. And as soon as they announced that, I knew the match wasn't going to be for me. Maybe it was for you. That's okay. There's much worse out there than this. But all six men were in the ring at the same time most of this match, or four men at the same time. There was no method to the madness of this match. It was just there to put the three legends over Paris Del Mal, and that's what you got. So happy, joy, joy. Now, Nosawa did challenge Del Santo to a hair versus mask match. And it was going to be Sawa and Super Crazy against Ultimo Dragon and Del Santo. They actually even rang the bell for that match to happen. I was kind of like frustrated because I want to see the N1. I understand they're going to have other matches. They're going to they're going to put them in there for filler. They're going to put them in there for some breaks, and that's fine. But if we would have got a 12th match, I was going to scream, especially a match like that. I really didn't want to see it. I don't want to see it in the future, even if it happens. Even though I suspect that Nosawa would get his head shaved. Del Santo's not going to lose his mask. But Paris Del Mal just ran from the ring seconds after the bell was rang and backed out of it. So it didn't happen. But, hey, your legendary people won the matchup. Yay. Let's move on. We are at the semifinal, guys, of an awesome show. Night 1 of the N1 Victory Tournament. And this semifinal sees Takashi Sugiura take on Satoshi Kojima. Now, if there are two men that are more similar to this in this tournament, someone will have to tell me because I just don't know. I mean, two badasses, two tough as hell guys, two guys that you would want on your side in a fight, absolutely facing off with one another. There is Kojima making his entrance. A lot of people thought after he lost the GHC Championship in his first defense against Keno, he would tuck tail and run back to New Japan. He has not done so. And there comes Sugi himself, Takashi Sugiura coming out, just looking mean as hell, not looking celebratory like Kojima. They come to the ring. They're going to square off. They're going to go back and forth with Kojima getting back control to start, and Sugi turning that into side headlock control, taking him down to his knees, and Kojima reversing that and getting in that same exact situation, squeezing the head of Sugiura until he drops to his knees. They break it apart and they go slowly more back at each other, more just reaching out like you see here, a little bit of test of strength, not the elevated one, but just really trying to feel each other out. Nobody wanting to go balls to the walls here. They're going to take their time. They're going to figure each other out. Sugiura gets arm and wrist control, twisting the arm wringer on Sugiura, bending him over, just trying to control him using his arm. But Sugiura gets to the ropes, and Kojima has to break. Now, I found it interesting here. Kojima took his time here. He had to be counted off. The ref had to count. That's not typical of Kojima. I'm not saying he's going to become a rule breaker or anything crazy like that, but he didn't really want to lose control of Sugiura. He worked hard to get this arm, and you could tell He was frustrated having to let go of it here. And of course, Kosugi then gets a side headlock and starts squeezing away on Kojima, who goes to throw him into the ropes, does so, and gets a big shoulder block, knocking Sugi down to the mat pretty hard. Gets up, does it again. 2 shoulder blocks in a row. Kojima has Sugi on his back. Tosses Segura to the outside. This is another sign to me that Kojima, I don't want to say he's frustrated, but he knows he has a hell of a fight on his hand in this match. He didn't want to break his wrist control in the ropes. And here, early in the match, this seems like something Sugi might do. But instead, Kojima tosses Sugi to the outside and decides to take things out there. Bashes Segura over the head, throws him into the barrier, but I think this is a mistake. Because Segura does come back and starts kicking the ass of Kojima, tossing him into the barriers and following it up with a running kick to the face, tossing him in to the opposite side barriers, rolling him back into the ring, getting in there himself and starting to stomp him down, going to this classic. You will see this move in Noah a lot because it is effective. It is overlooked by many professional wrestlers. This move, where you've got a chin lock on your opponent while you dig your knee into the center of his back, into his spine, is a very, very harsh way to wear them down. Very painful and can lead to victory. That's why you will see so many Noah wrestlers do this. You can tell that they train in the Noah dojo all together, not at the same time always, but they are working together and they want to be the best wrestlers in the world. And I'm not trying to bag this move up like it's some kind of super move, but I believe it's often overlooked. You will see this in the cravat a whole lot in Pro Wrestling Noah from all the workers, and Segura is one of the best at it. He stands Kojima up, goes to work out on him, hammers him, knocks him back down with a rear headlock. Now, I found this interesting from Kojima too. If you look at his hand here, he's reaching up and actually raking the cheek in the face, and he can't really find his eye, but he's pulling at his ear and his cheek and the side of his face, just like raking it, trying to cause pain and discomfort to the point that Sugi lets go of this headlock, which he does, and Kojima goes hammering away at Segura, and Segura nails a spinning mule kick. Now, Mark and Stu on commentary pointed out you don't see that move from Segura very often. It's nothing fancy, but you do not see a spinning heel kick from Takashi Segura too often at all. So for him to nail this shows you that he's been studying tapes and that he knows that Kojima is not your typical opponent, that he's going to have to pull some stuff out that he seldom, if ever, uses, and he does so here. A minor move, but important to note. Here they get in a battle for a suplex, for a brainbuster, if you will, over in Japan. And neither one of them win it. But this goes on for several tries. Each guy tries to get the other over, does not do it. Kojima lands a big forearm on Sugi, kicks him into the corner, goes in with those machine gun chops. I'm not a big fan of that move. I never think they look that good. And all this did was piss Segura off. Segura came out of that hardly affected at all, spun around, got Kojima in the corner and began to pound on him with forearms, followed by a big running kick to the face. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's a blurry, guys, but he really booted him in the face really good there. Kojima crumpled to the ground. Segura gets on top of him and just starts nailing those forearms and those elbows into the side of the head and into the face, and it did not look good for Kojima at all. Sugi backs off of him. He has to. The ref's counting him because he's in the corner, he's in the ropes, and stalls a little bit, gives Kojima time, who comes out of the corner pretty quickly and nails a DDT on Segura, taking him down, gets him in the opposite corner and does the machine chops once again. These time they were far more effective. I think he had more on them. I really think that Kojima just laid more on them in this situation, and then runs in and nails a body splash forearm to the face of Segura. But this just tends to piss Segura off again, and he gets Kojima on the top rope, climbs up there himself, and delivers a big brainbuster from the top rope. Kojima fights back. Now, I'm sort of cringing here because this is the kind of move that blows my mind that it doesn't end matches here. Kojima gets Sugi on the outside apron and delivers a DDT. Not just a DDT on the apron. They were on the apron. But when he falls down with the DDT, he doesn't fall down to the apron. He falls down to the floor. Kojima hits the apron, granted. But you're talking about someone with the weight
of Kojima, coming off the apron to the floor, driving his opponent's head with his entire body weight that kind of distance to the ring apron. Now, look, Takashi Sugiura is one of the toughest men in wrestling history. I would put him up there probably in the top 20 of history. I don't mean just modern day. And honestly, this exhausted both guys. While Kojima was the one who nailed this move, him falling to the floor in a desperate move to take Sugiura out, I think really shook him up as well. Because as you can see here, they're both laying on the arena floor for some time. And that's how I'm going to get past the idea that a move like that doesn't end the match. You can see Sugiura up there holding his head. You can see Kojima, though, laying here holding his head, looking exhausted. And because of this, this gave Sugiura some time to recover from such a devastating move. But once they're back in the ring, Kojima does come off the top rope with an elbow. Kojima's top rope elbow isn't the best top rope elbow in the business by far. But hey, it's an elbow from the top rope, and it works well. But not so well, because Sugiura is up shortly after and delivers a big running spear that about cut Kojima in half. But Sugiura backs up and is going to try his running knee. Probably would have put Kojima out, probably would have knocked him out, but Kojima catches it. Kojima catches the knee and turns it into the cozy cutter. And I'm telling you what, this often leads to victory for Kojima, but he doesn't get the pin here. Sugiura kicks out. So into the corner, Kojima sends Sugiura, sets him on the top rope, and I kind of think this is a mistake. To take the time, just pull an offensive move when you're facing Sugiura. Don't take him to the top rope. But it worked out, and he nails the cozy cutter from the top rope to the floor. Gets a 2 count. Let's jump back to that real quick. Gets a 2 count from a cutter off the top rope after Sugiura took a DDT on the apron. Look out for Sugiura in this tournament. I mean, the man is up after that, tries to get the angle slam, the Olympic slam, sorry about that, we know who made it famous, and got this little note up here. My screen went blank. I missed Kojima's lariat. This happened a couple times in this show so far. I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not really going to complain. Well, I guess I am slightly complaining. There have been several spots on this show so far until here. They hadn't been at crucial moments, so they didn't bother me. But there's been 2 or 3 times where my screen just goes black for 3-4 seconds. I can still hear, but I can't see what's going on. And at a crucial time here, Kojima nails his first big lariat, and I didn't get to see it. I got to see right here where Sugi didn't quite get the Olympic slam, and somehow Kojima rebounded with a big lariat, and I didn't get to see it because my screen went blank. But both men are down. Look at the looks on these guys' faces. Look at the exhaustion. Look at how they have poured everything into this match. But they are back at it, delivering forearm shivers and blows to each other's faces, heads, and necks, back and forth. This time, Sugiura does get a huge knee lift. The last time he tried this, Kojima blocked it, caught the knee, and went on offense. Here, Sugiura nails the knee and continues to pound on Kojima, including forearm shivers to the head. But Kojima somehow gets his 15th wind, I can't say second or third wind, and delivers a brain buster on Sugiura. I mean, a big, hard one. Down goes Sugiura. But it doesn't put him away. He only gets a 2 count. And when he locks up with Sugiura again, Sugiura sinks in his choke, his back choke, where he's on his opponent's back. Here he's not on his back, but he has an underhook choke on Kojima and takes him down in that position. While Sugiura's on his back, Kojima's head and neck are trapped underneath Sugiura's right arm, and Sugiura's clasping his hands together just to pull that neck so he can't breathe. He's pulling it tighter and tighter. Kojima's trying to pull his head out. The ref is looking at it. They've been through so much. Is this going to end the match? Look at Kojima. He cannot breathe. It is sunk in too hard. It is sunk in too bad. Referee stops it whenever Kojima is non-responsive, is not answering his call, is not answering to his name. Referee ends the match, stops the match. TKO, knockout winner, Takashi Sugiura. and an incredible matchup that both guys took punishment I couldn't believe. This is Daiki Inaba level of punishment taking. He's always going to be my standard. Ever since I've seen Daiki Inaba DDT'd on the apron, pow driven on the floor, all kinds of stuff by Marufuji, and continue to go on, he's going to be my standard of guys who take punishment in pro wrestling Noah, even though all of them do. But Segura took punishment like no man I have seen since that match with Inaba and Marufuji. And not only took the punishment, he came back and wins the match, which is amazing because Segura has said that if he doesn't win this tournament this year, he will not be in it next year. And as Stu and Mark pointed out on commentary, that's not really an arrogant or lack of sportsmanship thing from him. It's just he prides himself on being a competitor, and if he isn't good enough to win this tournament, he's going to not continue to insert his name into it. And so I like it. I like that he's probably trying to motivate himself in that way, and he gets the big win here. I'm guessing that's part of the reason he overcome so much punishment in this match, because Kojima laid into him with everything he had, including some outside stuff and apron stuff that just was brutal. But he not only took it and survived, he won the matchup. We're moving on to the main event of the night right now.
What a show. Ladies and gentlemen, the main event. Kazuyuki Fujita took on Go Shiozaki in a battle of the ages that went about 20 minutes. And it was just brutal, edge-of-your-seat stuff the whole match through. Now, you're not going to get high-flying shit here. I mean, you're not going to get it from any of these heavyweights, but these two especially. This is going to be a slow-paced, drawn-out fight. A battle between two grown men that just try to overpower one another, try to hold one another down, work body parts, wear each other down. And that's what we got the first couple minutes of this match. Just transitions. We got side control. We got mounts. We've got, leg picks. We've got single leg takedown. We got just different transitions throughout this, as you can see in the screenshots that I've taken here. I'm not going over each and every one by name, side headlock and stuff like that, but these guys really grappled back and forth seriously. And then they got into the shoulder blocking, trying to see who was more powerful. And Fujita wins that first one. Fujita is a monster. You can sit here and call him old. You can sit there and say that he shouldn't be pushed the way he is. You can do all the hemming and hawing around that I've seen Noah fans do about Fujita. But he's no older than a lot of the men on the roster. And yes, when he first came in, he wasn't used this strongly. I don't know why. I don't know what happened between then and now. But the guy has, Mark Pickering mentioned his ridiculous MMA experience, beating guys like Ken Shamrock, beating guys like, I believe he said Bob Sapp, beating some major MMA fighters in his career. I mean, the man has a ridiculous experience. He's the last disciple of Antonio Inoki, and whether you're going to go on about Inokiism or not, that stuff's kind of in today. I mean, when you can get a guy in wrestling who works and makes it look legitimate, that's pretty cool. If you like flippy shit where none of the moves hurt anybody, nobody, go watch that stuff. I speak out against it, but I don't care if it exists. I don't care if you watch it, but it's not for me. And to me, this is wrestling. This is awesome wrestling here. They spilled to the outside because it started to get violent. Both men started to get frustrated with one another, and they fought on the outside. Go Shiozaki actually got an advantage here, throwing Fujita into the ringside barriers and into the ring posts. You can see there, he just stayed on top of him quite a bit, got a running knee lift as Fujita laid out across the apron to the head, which worked him pretty good. You can see Fujita down there. Look, if there's something Fujita's opponents do that is a mistake, and just about all of them do it, is that they work a slow, stalking kind of style. Like, I understand it in a way. Like, Vegeta's not going to be pinned and go down with a couple good moves, or even with a couple crazy outside moves, like running his head into the ring post and stuff. He's just not. I get that. But I don't think Vegeta's going to lose until he faces an opponent who never relents, who never stops. And again, I don't mean high-speed cruiserweight shit. I'm talking about a wrestler who just pounds him from pillar to post and doesn't stop doing so until they know the man is down and out. I think you're going to have to knock him out. I think to beat Fujita, you are going to have to beat him with a KO. And as ridiculous as that sounds, and as difficult as that's probably going to be, that's going to be your best shot at beating him. Here, as Goji Ozaki gets back in the ring, Fujita's there to greet him and knock him off the apron hard. He flew back into the barrier, and Fujita shoots out of the ring and begins to just kick Goji Ozaki as he's down over and over, rolling him back in and sinking in a single leg Boston Crab. Now here's something that Fujita does and does well. When he gets a hold on you, you may not be giving up. You may be, the opponent may be tough enough to withstand it, but he clamps on that hold, and he keeps that hold on for some time. It's another thing I think his opponents are going to have to do. They're going to have to watch what his style is and mimic it. Because if Fujita can be beaten, I think you're going to have to use a similar style. You're not going to come in there and use your own style. You're going to have to use a style like his. You're going to have to wear him down. Fujita has learned he can beat his opponents due to their overconfidence, due to their slow stalking of him, like hitting a move and then stalking around, hitting a move and then stalking around. It makes no sense. Fujita doesn't relent. He stays on his opponents non-stop. And when he gets them in holds like single leg Boston Crab, he keeps them on for some time. He turned it into a form of an Indian deathlock / prison lock, something like that, and once again held that move for quite some time. Goji Ozaki wasn't submitting. Fujita didn't care. He kept him in the hold, kept him wearing him down, started slapping him in the chest. Do you think slapping him in the chest and stomach was really doing a lot of harm? No, but it was doing enough harm. It was wearing him down. He continued to wear him down. Look at the look in this man's face. He is a man possessed. He is a man determined like nobody I've seen in quite some time. And Shiozaki has a great attitude, but sometimes he's just a little too nice. I think Shiozaki's going to have to get violent. I think Nakajima is going to have to get violent. I think whoever faces Fujita, if you aren't working a similar style that he does, wearing him down, never relenting, and having the attitude of like, I'll break your legs, I'll break your arms, I will do something to take you out, you're never going to beat him. Goji Ozaki did fire up and land some amazing chops from a position of being in a submission hold, but it wasn't enough. I mean, Fujita just then took his leg and bent it backwards and put him in a figure four and held that for a ridiculous amount of time until Shiozaki gets to the ropes. Then what does Fujita do? Does he let the hold go and back off and let Shiozaki get up? Hell no. He goes to the outside and starts slamming Shiozaki's leg against the ring apron and then against the ring posts numerous times. Now, somehow, amazingly, whenever Fujita gets back in the ring, Shiozaki uses, feeds off the crowd the way that he does and gets a big brain buster on Fujita and a shoulder tackle, and he has him down. But this is what I'm talking about. Look at this. Fujita is down, and Shiozaki's just soaking in the adulation of the crowd, which is cute and everything, but he should have locked him in a submission hold. He should have put a figure four on him, a Texas Cloverleaf. He should have done something rather than stand there and be proud of himself. That's the mistake Nakajima made whenever he lost the title to Fujita. Now Shiozaki's going to start with chops, the machine gun chops. Again, that's cute, but it's not enough. You're wrestling one of the toughest son of a bitches in the game, and after these machine gun chops, Fujita just flips him around and starts hammering him with elbow and forearms, which is a hell of a lot more damage than chops. Look, chops make a good sound. It gets the crowd to go, woo, at least in this stupid country, not in Japan. But it gets the, the machine gun chops. All right, whoop these shit. You're facing a guy like Fujita. You got to do more damage than that, like he's doing here with forearms. Now, Shiozaki continues the chops and gets another brain buster on him. But that doesn't do much. Fujita's got a head and neck like a bowling ball. It's ridiculous. He's up and nails a big gut shot to Shiozaki and then delivers his own brain buster to Shiozaki and tries to put him away with his beast bomb, power bomb here. He tries. Now, to Shiozaki's credit, he fights this off really well. He keeps this from happening. It's now he backflips Fujita and gets out of it and comes running in with a clothesline, several of them in a row. Little to no effect. he's not wore Fujita down enough for them to be effective yet. Not super effective, because Fujita just captures him in a German suplex, tosses him over his head like a sack of potatoes. Giyozaki's back in with another clothesline, which is much more effective this time. But in the meantime, Giyozaki has taken so much damage that they're both down. Okay, he nails his first really good lariat on Fujita, who is down, grasping the back of his head, as you can see here. But Giyozaki collapses as well because he's completely exhausted himself with machine gun chops and things like that. They go back at each other with forearms back and forth, but even then, you see Go Giyozaki's hitting his chest and neck area, which is brutal, but look at the difference. Look at the forearm from Fujita into the side of the neck, in the lower jaw, an area that can knock you out. And then Fujita backs off of the forearm contesting and just nails an open hand palm strike to the side of Go Giyozaki's head. And if you ask me, he's watching Katsuhiko Nakajima, because that's the move Nakajima's pulling out. That's the move Nakajima's either knocking guys straight out cold, or so loopy that he can pick them up and deliver that vertical spike brainbuster with ease. And I think Fujita's like, I got that in my arsenal too. And he laid it into Giyozaki here, and I thought it was over. I thought he had knocked him out. But when Fujita came in with a knee then to really try to finish it off, Giyozaki actually caught it and delivered another one of his lariats. But look what he does again. You cannot take the time to gloat, to stand in front of your adoring fans and look at them like, I have slain the beast. You have to stay on top of him. You cannot sit there and, like a baseball player who hits a home run, admire your work. If you do that with Fujita, it's going to cost you. Giyozaki does eventually come in and give him a German suplex of his own, followed by another clothesline. But again, he had given Fujita too much time, because he is up with a big sort of Cayito side suplex on Giyozaki. And this time when he follows it in with his running knee, it hits. It hits. Giyozaki did not block it. He is badly damaged at this point. Fujita comes running in with that soccer kick to the side of the head. And folks, this is a move that has taken countless wrestlers out. Many times when Fujita gets this soccer kick, when he runs in and punts a guy on the side of the head, that's it. It's over. They're unresponsive. They see the ref checking. They thought it was over here. Can Giyozaki respond? He did lightly. There must have been some kind of life to him, because the ref didn't stop it. But it was over at this point anyway, because Fujita picks him up and nails that beast bomb, power bomb. This is one of the biggest and baddest in the wrestling world today. And that is it. That is it. The hero falls. The 5-time GHC heavyweight champion loses his first N1 victory tournament match to the Beast, to Fujita. And things look scary. Look, who am I? I'm a guy who watches wrestling nonstop and has been in the business for a number of years myself. And I'm not acting like that makes me an expert. But I have watched this Fujita intently. And I know no one in this tournament's beating him until they wrestle his style, until they're just as aggressive, until they're just as determined to hurt him if they have to, until they do not let him lay there after they hit one move on him and look at the crowd like, look what I did, until they knock that shit off and jump all over his ass like he's there to murder them and their entire family, and they're going to kill themselves if they have to stop him. He's going to cut through this thing like a hot knife through butter. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Fujita. He's saying, he won the first match, he got his 2 points, and who's going to stop him? Go Giyozaki, looking down and out and defeated, is going to have to try to crawl back up from this. Now, we know he's lost numerous matches in the past and shot back to the top from it, so he's capable of it. I'm not saying Go Giyozaki is done, but who's going to beat Fujita? Nobody, until they learn to be a relentless killer like he is. Will anybody do it? We got the 13th, 14th, 17th, 19th, 20th, 27th, 28th, and September 3rd to find out. Many, many, many more shows to find out who can topple the beast. And I can't wait to be here talking about it with you. Thanks for joining me for this N1 review. I would give this show a 10 out of 10. It was great. I did not like the Paris Del Mall match, but I'm not going to let it take away from what was an otherwise awesome show. Really liked all the N1 matches and most of the other matches. Great, great show. Again, I'm not taking away from the Paris Del Mall match because it was thrown in at the last minute and it was just sort of a fluff match for whatever. I should have just skipped it completely, but I didn't. Still, awesome show. Can't wait to see who's going to stand up to Fujita and how the rest of this tournament goes. I will be back with a second video previewing the show on August 13th, but I want to get this put together, edited, and uploaded as quickly as I can. And as soon as that's done, if I'm not ready for bed, I will get on the preview for the August 13th show and get that up shortly after. Again, we're not doing full podcasts during the N1 season. We're doing separate videos, reviews and previews of the N1 show so I can slap them up as quickly as possible. No Noah news this week as well. Please go to the Hisami site. I will continue to link it in this video, even though I'm not using her site on this video. I'll link it for you so you can go there and see her reviews of the shows and how she talks about it, what she thought about it, and all the other stuff she does on that site. All right? But again, I'm Adam Lavelle. This is the Noah Network. We'll see you soon with a preview for the N1 show on August 13th. Thanks for joining me, guys.